If you're over 60, you may not realize that a very common movement you make when getting out of bed could be affecting your heart more than you think. Today, I want to help you identify that morning habit so many older adults perform without noticing the risk, and show you how to correct it so you can protect your health from the very first minute of the day. I'm Dr. Gabriel Mina, a physician with more than 2 decades of experience caring for the hearts of older adults, and I want you to understand why those first hours after waking up can become an especially vulnerable moment. I say this not only because of my training, but because of what I see every day in clinic and in emergency rooms. I remember the case of Carlos, a 72-year-old man who started his morning feeling perfectly fine. Yet just a few hours later, his family ended up calling an ambulance. When I treated him and reviewed all the possible causes, something caught my attention. His medications were correct, he hadn't overexerted himself, and he hadn't changed his diet. What triggered his collapse was a tiny movement he made the moment he got out of bed. A mistake that lasted less than a minute. A pattern I have seen repeatedly in people over 60, and one I want you to understand today so you can avoid it. And before we continue, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this content. Here, you'll find clear and practical information to help you take care of your heart every day. This problem has a lot to do with what we call the morning danger zone. Millions of older adults unknowingly start their day by stepping right into this fragile moment of the body. It's not an exaggeration. Numerous studies show that the likelihood of experiencing a serious cardiac event is significantly higher during the early morning hours, increasing by as much as 40% compared to other times of day. And this is not a coincidence. There is a powerful reason behind it. When you wake up, your body doesn't switch on like a light. It behaves more like a cold engine that needs to adjust slowly. Your internal clock releases hormones to get you ready, especially cortisol, which speeds up your heart and tightens your blood vessels, naturally raising your blood pressure. On top of that, your nervous system also shifts gears. During the night, it stays in a resting mode. But when you wake up, it suddenly switches into alert mode, releasing adrenaline, which increases the speed and effort your heart has to make. Then there's something most people underestimate: dehydration. After so many hours without drinking water, your blood becomes slightly thicker. That makes it harder for the heart to pump and increases the chances of clot formation. In younger people, this doesn't usually cause problems, but in a body that has been working for decades, with arteries that may be less elastic, this moment becomes a fragile stage. It's right at that very moment, in the middle of all these changes, when millions of people make a mistake that pushes the cardiovascular system beyond its limits. A habit we are going to identify and correct together today. If you're over 60, or if you know someone who is, I ask you to pay attention because what you're about to learn can make an enormous difference. That habit is taking a cold shower immediately after waking up. It has nothing to do with coffee or skipping breakfast. It's something that has become popular in recent years because some promote it as a trick to activate the body. And while that may be true for younger people, in older adults it can be risky. Let me tell you briefly about Roberto, a 68-year-old patient I treated. He was in good health, walked daily, and had stable test results. His routine included taking a very cold shower as soon as he woke up. One day, while the icy water hit his chest, he felt an odd fluttering sensation, became dizzy, and collapsed to the floor. It wasn't a classic heart attack, but a ventricular arrhythmia, an electrical disturbance that led to cardiac arrest. We were able to save him because his wife reacted quickly. But what actually happens inside the body when you expose it to that sudden cold shock? The organism interprets the extreme temperature as a threat and instantly tightens many of the blood vessels in the skin to preserve heat. It's like closing thousands of small valves at the same time. Imagine what happens to the pressure inside a pipe when you suddenly reduce the outlets. It shoots up. Some analyses have shown that this shock can raise systolic blood pressure by 20 to 30 points in seconds. For someone who already has high blood pressure, this sudden jump becomes a serious danger. And for an aging heart and stiffened arteries, this abrupt rise is like inflating an old, dry balloon in one rapid breath. This kind of sudden stress can rupture a cholesterol plaque in a coronary artery or cause a blood vessel in the brain to break. And it doesn't stop there. That rapid rise in pressure forces the heart to work harder and consume more oxygen. If there is any silent coronary disease, the arteries may not be able to supply enough, triggering electrical instability. This is when serious arrhythmias can appear, such as ventricular fibrillation, in which the heart stops pumping effectively and enters cardiac arrest. In older adults, cold shock can be the trigger. But even this habit doesn't act alone. There's almost always a factor that makes it worse: morning dehydration, especially when you don't drink water after waking up. If you're concerned today about protecting your heart during those early hours, I want you to understand something essential. Your body wakes up with less water than it needs. Even though you were resting, your body continued to lose fluid through breathing and sweating. That's why, when you wake up, your body is in a naturally dehydrated state that makes your blood thicker. Imagine your heart as a pump. If instead of moving a light liquid, it had to push something closer to honey, the effort would be much greater. That simple detail forces your heart to work harder and consume more oxygen, even before facing any other morning challenge. And there's something else we can't ignore. When blood is dense, cells tend to stick together more easily. That increases the likelihood of clot formation. In other words, the conditions are set for a serious problem. Now connect all of this with what I mentioned in the first block. You wake up in the middle of the morning risk zone, with elevated cortisol, your sympathetic system activated, your blood thicker than normal, and immediately decide to take a cold shower. That abrupt contraction of the blood vessels raises your blood pressure, and that pressure surge can detach a plaque that was stuck to an artery wall. In thin blood, this doesn't always cause a severe outcome, but in thicker blood, platelets rush to the area and can create a clot that completely blocks the artery. That is a heart attack. This is why the first thing you do in the morning should not be making coffee. The first step should be giving your body back the liquid it lost. A glass of water at room temperature begins to reduce that blood density and instantly eases the workload on your heart. Skipping this step leaves your cardiovascular system defenseless at the moment it is most vulnerable. And yet, another common enemy remains. Something as simple as getting up too fast. It may seem insignificant, but for someone over 60, it can trigger what we know as orthostatic hypotension. When you are lying down, your blood is evenly distributed throughout the body, but when you suddenly stand up, gravity pulls it down toward the legs and abdomen. Suddenly, the heart receives much less blood to pump to the brain. In a younger person, pressure sensors react immediately and correct the drop. But with age, these sensors lose speed. So for a few seconds, the brain receives less oxygen. This can cause dizziness, blurred vision, a feeling that everything is moving, or in some cases, fainting, which can lead to falls and fractures. Let me tell you something. Not long ago, I treated a 70-year-old man named Emilio. He told me that every morning he would jump out of bed like a spring. Until one day he felt so dizzy that he ended up on the floor. Fortunately, he didn't fracture anything, but that scare was enough for him to understand that those first seconds of the day require more calm and more care. But the story doesn't end there. When the body detects that drop in blood pressure, even if it reacts late, it sends alarm signals that make the heart beat much faster. That increase in heart rate, combined with morning stress, dehydration, and hormonal peaks, can demand more oxygen than the heart is able to supply. When oxygen becomes insufficient, dangerous arrhythmias can occur. That sudden transition from lying down to standing becomes a third blow that adds to the other morning factors. I also want to talk to you about something many people overlook. Sometimes a medication you take to protect your heart can unintentionally increase these risks. I'm referring to certain blood pressure medications known as diuretics. Useful medicines like hydrochlorothiazide or furosemide help eliminate excess fluid, but they also remove important minerals, and one of them is essential for your heart: magnesium. Let me share a real case. I treated a 74-year-old woman named Beatrice. She arrived worried about palpitations and nighttime cramps that had been getting worse. Her previous doctor attributed it to age, but when I examined her, a small detail on her electrocardiogram stood out. I ordered a magnesium test, and there we found the answer. Her levels were extremely low, caused by years of diuretic use. Magnesium is essential for keeping the heart beating steadily. It regulates the movement of other minerals such as potassium and calcium, which are responsible for generating the organized electrical impulses that allow the heart to function. When magnesium is low, the cells become more irritable. It's like electrical cables losing their insulation. This opens the door to different types of arrhythmias, including the most dangerous ones. When an older adult combines years of diuretic use, an undiagnosed magnesium deficiency, the hormonal surge upon waking, dehydration, getting up too quickly, and a cold shower on top of everything, it creates the perfect scenario for the heart's electrical system to become unstable. And in the worst-case scenario, this can lead to ventricular fibrillation. The problem is not the medication itself, but the lack of proper monitoring. If you take a diuretic and experience cramps, spasms, or palpitations, don't ignore them. Talk to your doctor. Ask whether your magnesium levels need to be checked. It's a simple test and it can help uncover a hidden risk. So far, we have identified 4 silent threats that come together in the first minutes of the day: the shock of cold water, dehydration, standing up too quickly, and possible deficiencies caused by medication. Each one on its own can be risky. Together, they create a complete challenge for your heart every morning. If you want a practical and simple way to protect your heart from the very first minute of the day, I want you to listen closely to what comes next. After learning about all the risks that accumulate upon waking, it's natural to wonder what you can do to prevent your morning routine from affecting your health. And here is the good news. There is a solution, and it's much simpler than you might think. You don't need expensive devices or complicated treatments. You only need to adjust your first 5 minutes of the day. I call this new habit the 5-minute morning ritual. I created it with your safety in mind and with respect for what your body needs when transitioning from rest to activity. It's a gentle, structured, and very easy process to follow. Each minute has a clear purpose. During the first minute, you will wake up calmly. When your alarm goes off, stay where you are. Don't rush. Take 5 deep breaths, inhaling through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. This helps your heart understand that there is no urgency and that it can start the day without a sudden surge of adrenaline. In the second minute, it's time to hydrate. Before going to sleep, leave a glass of water on your nightstand so it's ready. Now, sit slowly on the edge of the bed, place your feet on the floor, and drink that glass of room temperature water. This step is essential. It begins to reduce the thickness of your blood and removes a huge burden from your heart. The third minute is dedicated to helping your body adapt to gravity. Stay seated for now. This small detail greatly reduces the risk of dizziness or fainting. While you wait, rotate your ankles in circles. This movement helps blood return to the heart without the sudden changes that can lead to a fall. In the fourth minute, wake up your muscles gently with simple movements. Slowly rotate your neck, lift and lower your shoulders, stretch your arms, and lean forward. This improves circulation and prepares your body to get moving without strain. In the fifth minute, stand up slowly. Remain still for a few seconds to make sure you're not dizzy, and then begin walking at a gentle pace. This way, your heart transitions from rest to activity safely and progressively. Now let's talk about the shower, because many people wonder whether they should avoid it. The answer is that you can absolutely continue enjoying your shower, but with precautions. Temperature is the key. Start with warm water, close to body temperature, to avoid sudden changes that can affect your blood pressure. If you like finishing with cooler water, do it gradually. Start with your feet and legs, then your arms, and only if you feel completely fine, a brief touch on the torso. Never begin with cold water directly on your chest. And if you feel dizzy, chest pressure, or palpitations, stop immediately and sit down in the shower to prevent a fall. If you already have a diagnosed heart condition, my recommendation is clear: avoid cold showers entirely. The risk is too high. Always prioritize your safety. Beyond these morning precautions, don't forget to look further. If you are over 60, have high blood pressure, and take diuretics, talk to your doctor about the importance of magnesium. A simple test can reveal whether you are deficient in this mineral, which is essential for maintaining a normal heart rhythm. Do not self-medicate. Always do this under medical supervision. Make it a habit to check your blood pressure regularly at home. Don't leave it only for your doctor's appointments. And once you are fully awake, hydrated, and stable, incorporate gentle morning physical activity. Research shows that exercising between 8 and 11 in the morning helps reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke. A slow walk, gentle yoga, or a few minutes on a stationary bike can make a huge difference. Let me tell you about something I experienced recently. I treated a 68-year-old patient named Ernesto, who used to jump out of bed quickly every morning and go straight to a cold shower. One day he collapsed from sudden dizziness. Fortunately, he made it in time for treatment. Today, after adopting this 5-minute ritual, his life has changed. He feels more stable, calmer, and much more energized. That small adjustment protected him from a more serious scare, and I want you to have that same opportunity. Taking care of your heart isn't about being brave. It's about being smart, consistent, and respectful of your own body. The transition from sleep to wakefulness is one of the most delicate moments of the day. Don't take it lightly. Listen to what your body needs and give it that moment of care. It's the simplest and most powerful way to prevent problems. Before we finish, I want to ask you something sincerely. Leave a comment and tell me what your first habit is when you wake up. Do you do any of the mistakes we talked about today? Sharing your experience can help others. And please share this video with your loved ones. Your parents, siblings, uncles, or friends over 60. It may be the information they need to avoid a scare. And if you haven't done it yet, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this content. We upload new videos every day with clear, practical information to help you improve your health and habits. Thank you for being here. Before closing, I'd like us to take a moment to thank God for life, for the opportunity to learn, and for the possibility of taking care of the most valuable thing we have, our heart. Here on Dr. Gabriel Mina's channel, we are truly happy to support you and be part of your journey toward a healthier life. Tomorrow we'll be back with a new video filled with simple, useful tools for your well-being. I hope to see you there, because your health matters to us, and you will always find a space here to learn and take care of yourself.